Hey everybody, welcome to the season 6 finale of Just Talk About Game. I'm here, my sidekick is here,
Here.
so is our guest. Let's get started. Who do we have on today's show?
Today we have one truly multi-talented entertainer. He's an MC, actor, musician, and much more. Welcome Kyle Lucas to the show.
I can't wait to hear all about him, but before we get started, let's give a shout out to our sponsors, Fair Life Clothing and Leap PR. Fair Life Clothing is a unique clothing line out of Atlanta, Georgia, geared towards those who love intoxicating style.
And Link PR is definitely the missing link to your success in the entertainment industry.
I'm glad both Fair Life Clothing and Link PR are both back from their season. Now then, grab your snacks, sit back, relax, and enjoy the finale.
What's up? It's Lance Alexander. I recently launched a new health and wellness book entitled From Junk to Hunk. After completing my own journey of losing over 70 pounds, I realized the mental transformation was far greater than the physical changes, and that going from junk to hunk could apply to any goal. By clearing out the junk, which is anything negative or toxic towards that goal, like distractions, you transform into a hunk, which is a stronger, better version of you. Get From Junk to Hunk at FromJunkToHunk.com.
Kyle, welcome to the show. We're glad you could join us for the finale of Just Talk About Gay for season 6.
Hey, thanks for having me. I really appreciate it.
Thanks for being on. Let's get into it.
All right.
So you're an actor, a songwriter, ghostwriter, and MC in the entertainment industry. What inspired you to pursue a career in entertainment?
I always liked music growing up, and music is my first, I guess, my core um hip hop and being an MC, a rapper. I wanted to be a MC since I was like in second grade. So that was my first that's like my first love and my passion that got me into the entertainment industry. And acting kind of came within the last 10 years of my career. So I just wanted to be like, Puffy, Mace, Biggie, everything you see on TV as a kid, they're very like superhero-esque to me. And when you're young, you have no kind of grip of reality, so anything seems possible. So I just kind of naively said I'm going to be a rapper when I was in third grade, and I have no, family in the music industry. I had no way to even know what it was, but I was just blinded by just, I guess, ambition.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah,
that is really kind of cool. Now, see, in third grade, I don't know, I was putting glue on my hands and taking it off, letting it dry. So
I was doing that too.
All right. So how do you stay creative and inspired, especially during, challenging or uninspiring times?
Oh man, that's a great question. I guess since it's my career and job to create, it has that's probably one of the biggest negative cons to the pros and con list of being creative and making a job out of creativity, because you want to just clock into a 9 to 5 and say, okay, turn on inspiration. I'm sitting down. Let's do this. And
Right.
Unfortunately, it does not work like that. Over the years, though, because I've been doing it for so long, I've found certain ways to stay inspired, and this doesn't happen all the time, but I found ways to kind of treat it more or less like a job as I got older, and kind of just staying disciplined and working on it every day, working on some part of the project every day, and also not letting the writer's block kind of deter you. That's the biggest thing, because
Right.
I guess uninspiration probably comes from the writer's block, and the writer's block just comes from your inner critic. So the idea of realizing that, okay, I'm just going to, whatever's in my head, I'm going to put down on paper or type it out or just let it flow, and don't try to do the floodgates yet or like pre-edit in your head, because that's, oh, I've already had a song like that, or if I said something similar. And like, if you can get past that, and that's a huge hurdle, so it's easier said than done, and it's taken me years to figure that out. But if I can just get it out, that is probably the number one way to like keep inspiration flowing. And then also not being so hard on yourself that, okay, I just did something and it's not incredible, because all you kind of need is 1 out of 20 to be good,
That's
and one.
true, yeah.
So being afraid to fail while sitting down, or not even looking at it as failing, it's just looking as, hey, this is part of the process. I got to get out 20 horrible ideas, but I'll find one line or something. I'll find that one line, and then if I'm in the studio with someone 6 months later, I have a ongoing, like 1,000-page notes from my Mac and my on my iPhone that kind of sync. So I'll pull from that and I'll be like, man, that one day you thought it was a bust, but here is the hook to a new song 6 months later,
Oh, that's so cool.
That is, yeah.
It's kind of
That's
like
that's a neat way of doing things.
that is. That's a neat way of even looking at
Yeah.
like the creative process. I mean, that's
That's
really
like that took me so long to figure out, but once you realize that it's not the end of the world if you tried for a couple hours and nothing happened, but then also not realizing that it might not be that form, but it'll take form later down the road. And that's happened so many times where I was like, man, I just need to remember this feeling and remember the outcome. And then like when I start getting the anxiety again, just remind yourself that, oh, we've been here before. Don't freak out.
that's
That
awesome.
is. So I guess the second part of that would be, what is the most challenging role or project that you've taken on, and what did you learn from that experience?
Oh man. Um, my first solo full length album outside of my first record deal I signed. It was the first kind of because I was in a band Vonnegut and we signed to Big Boy of Outkast, and I was signed for 5 years and did all that, and then I was stepping out as a solo artist and I was writing for a bunch of artists, but then I'm probably going to age myself right here, but then it was Spotify and everything happened where you could create something. Because like when I signed a record deal, you pretty much had to sign a record deal to get music out,
Right.
to even, I mean, to even like shoot a music video, it was like unfathomable, a quality music video, to do it by yourself. So then when Spotify happened and I had featured on a bunch of albums and I had written and I already had been putting out free mixtapes, and then my mixtapes were pretty much albums, but they were, uncleared samples, and I was just creating and putting them out for free on different blogs. And this is when blogs were really popular.
Right.
And then when I was like, okay, I'm going to do an actual full length album, all original music, no samples, and then put it out for a consumer for retail, and then I did it independently by myself. That was like such a big hurdle. It took me a long time to get it and to do it, probably like a year and a half. And I worked with really closely with a couple producers, Simon Illa, who has passed away, but he was one of my close friends. We kind of both were taking on figuring out how to release music for the consumer to actually consume, and then tore off that, do the merch thing. I mean, that whole first Marietta, Georgia, the album is it's on Spotify and everything. It was my first full length. That whole process was probably one of the most difficult like learning curves I was involved in.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
I mean, I guess it's like your journey. You had to go through that to get to where you are now.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And now releasing, music, now, I mean, technology, you can release it. I could record a song on my phone and release it on my phone to get it into Spotify. I mean, it's kind of unheard of. It's like, if you were baking cakes, how do you get cakes in the grocery store so the market can, that was unheard of to do that without signing to a distributor
Exactly.
Right.
they were kind of gatekeeping the technology. Now you can, I mean, there's pros and cons to that as well because it's just flooded with anyone can do it, but then also anyone can do it,
Anyone can do it.
so
Yeah,
it's like,
Exactly.
it's awesome for someone who I was already in the industry professionally for 10 years when that happened. So I was like, oh, I think it's perfect timing for me because now already know how to make the quality music, but now I can cut out the middleman. And, being signed to a record deal it's pretty, it's can be frustrating at times because it's the
Right.
definition of too many cooks in the kitchen,
That's true.
Yeah, I think that's like kind of with anything like,
Right.
directors or film people
There
or
always should
things
be
like
a
that.
certain amount of people, not too many.
Yeah.
Then it gets.
Absolutely. If anyone can figure out how to, I mean, if they can get to a point in any kind of creative where they can partner with like I guess a distribution, or if you're writing a show, if you could partner with as far as if you could partner up with a bigger company, a distributor, an esque distributor, without having them involved in the creative process. And it was looked at more as like, hey, I'm just going to do it how I do it, turn it in, and then you handle that side. Because once you're signed to someone and then they, and you don't have like full creative control, I mean, that's how like a project can take years to come out after that,
Right.
you know?
That's true. And that kind of gets scary. Like your whole creative vision gets turned into
You turn
something,
something else.
yeah, that you may not even.
Absolutely.
So yeah.
Absolutely. So, in terms of music, what is the one genre that you haven't done that you would like to in the future?
Mm. That's I don't think there is one. You
Really?
know, yeah, I'm a rapper at heart, and then I definitely, went on Warped Tour, and I wrote for a bunch of like hardcore kind of screamo-esque, post-hardcore bands, and that was a cool genre, and I was in a band, and then, I'm not really that big of a fan of any music outside of, hip hop, R&B, and I've kind of done all the stuff I kind of wanted to as far as genres, I wouldn't think I don't think I would be very excited about like doing like an EDM album or anything. I don't really know.
Right,
I don't
yeah.
know. And I'm not, and I'm not classically I mean, I'm not trained at all musically. I just write songs from like the lyrical standpoint and the melodies. So yeah, I don't know. I think I've kind of done that,
That's
Okay,
pretty
that's
cool.
pretty cool.
That's
Yeah.
pretty fun.
Yeah, you know where you're
Yeah,
at, and you
You
can
know
just
where you're
stick with
at,
it.
and you can stick with it and make it even better. So
Yeah.
yeah, there you go.
absolutely.
I guess touching on that a bit more, how would you like to see your music evolve in the future?
I would like to, I feel I've taken a couple years off as releasing music, Kyle Lucas music, like releasing music as an artist. I think I released my last solo song and video was like 2 years ago. I've taken, I just haven't really had the drive or passion to do a Kyle Lucas project. So maybe after I kind of fully see the Uncle Apple project and cartoon TV show we're doing, if I wanted to kind of fully, I think there's a big promise in this lane that I'm in, and I've had a lot of success so far in this. So I'm gonna try to see the cartoon project Uncle Apple through, and then maybe once, I can do 100% focus on Kyle Lucas. I just feel like right now I have songs and videos already recorded, but it's not focused. So that was kind of to my first point about just making a bunch of stuff. You kind of do just make a bunch of stuff. It doesn't really mean that it always has to come out, and it doesn't really mean that it's 100% focused or cohesive enough in an album form that I feel would be palatable to my core audience. Because I'm very lucky. I have a very like core diehard fan base, and they've, really supported me for probably 10 years now. And I just wouldn't want to sell them short as just putting out a bunch of random stuff that is kind of either off brand or off sound of mine or off quality. So I guess after I see the cartoon through, I would probably like Kyle Lucas to evolve to put out another like full length cohesive project. So I think that'll be the next step and down the line in a couple years, God willing.
Oh, that sounds
That
great.
sounds great. Yeah. So, actually, speaking of Uncle Apple, you're the voice and creator, so tell us a bit more.
Hmm. Yeah, Uncle Apple is it's a project. Uh, my niece and nephew, I don't have any kids, but my sister has 3 kids, and for some reason my niece Kira, she started calling me Apple, and that was like her first. So I was just Apple, and then you know how names and families kind of just stick. So like I'm
Right.
Uncle Apple and Apple to all my niece and nephews, and I was trying to make like this was like right around the time Baby Shark came out, and I was like, oh man, this is extremely annoying. I was like, this is crazy that I can't believe this is such a hit. And then I was like, I don't um I don't see like authentic hip hop, but for like kids. Like I wanted it like, man, it would be cool if someone did like a rap project for kids, but mixed it like a 3 6 Mafia song, and it's about eating like vegetables. So it would like
Oh,
bump in the car, and it would like rattle the trunk, but it's about brushing your teeth. And I was like, man, that would be really cool. And so
Right.
I did 5 songs. I was living in Austin, Texas then, and I did 5 songs, and then I released them. When I remember I released them, my sister lives in Hawaii, so I went to visit her and I released them just to see what it would do. And then on the way home from that trip, I remember my girlfriend in the airport at LAX said, "There's something about like a disease, virus or something like COVID happening right now or something."
oh
And
my.
and it was while we were flying home, and then we went to Austin, and then it just, all hell broke loose. And so
Right.
during that I would call a bunch of my friends, and we were all everyone you guys experienced it, we were
Absolutely.
trying to yeah, we all went through the pandemic and just at the beginning stages, and so we would have like happy hour and I'd like FaceTime my friends, and one of my best friends I grew up with is was a writer on the show Blackish, and he lived in New York with his wife. And so we would talk, and I was like, "Hey, dude, I have this. You should listen to this project. It's pretty funny. It's like a hip hop album for kids." So we listened to it, and then he was like, "Dude, we should turn this into a cartoon and a TV show." And that kind of started the whole thing of me creating Uncle Apple's music, and then doing a TV show, and then we pitched it to everyone, and we actually agreed to go through Nickelodeon. So then we worked with them for a little bit. That didn't pan out, and then it was back to the drawing board. And then I finally signed a record deal for the music portion. That's where I'm at currently, of the music portion with SBG Records, and then we're developing the pilot now. So
That's
basically, the
yeah.
show is about my niece and her friends. It's my niece Kira and her three friends, and then Uncle Apple. He's the only one with an apple for a head, and he's like magic. And basically, it's the show about kids. It's in the vein of like the cartoons Recess, Hey Arnold, the shows that I kind of grew up loving.
Right.
And he's pretty much the chef to the South Park kids. So he'll come in at the end, put everything into context. He's like the morality of whatever dilemma the kids are involved at school or this or that. And then he kind of does it in a song, a magic, like nebulous music video. And he's just very magical. So I love making the music, but I know at this point I love being with the new company I'm with because we're really hitting it hard and they're doing a great job. But I'm super excited because I'm on song like 19 now, and I have a whole album that's rolling out. So I'm probably gonna have 30 songs. But I'm super excited to get the cartoon because we've worked really hard on. This is my first time writing a show. I'm voicing the character and just pretty much from behind the scenes on how you make TV show. I've never been involved in that, so that definitely is inspiring, and I'm very excited about that.
Oh, that
Yeah, that
sounds so
sounds awesome.
awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Congratulations. Yeah.
congratulations. I know I listened to, was it 1, 2, 3 or the,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, hey, this is kind of cool. I mean, and you really get into it. And so you start thinking, okay, I'm not two anymore, but this is going to be a
Yeah.
hit for that crowd. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah,
congratulations.
I love it too because because hip hop and rap music's 50 years old. So my friends that have kids, it's not like you just grow up and you start listening to classic rock. We grew up on rap, and so once we grow up, we want to listen to hip hop, but they love that they can listen to it with their kids, and that was the idea of the kids watch the show, they see the song in it, then you can listen to it in the car, and there's some a positive message in it. But I do take pride in being like a lyricist, and I don't really dumb it down much for the
Right.
kids.
Right.
I still do multisyllabic rhyme patterns. I still do like internal rhyme schemes, and I even wanted to like because this my writing partner Isaiah told me like this might possibly be the first time kids are introduced to hip hop, because
That's
it is kind
true.
of it's like a 3 to 5 to 3 to 7 age group range. So the younger kids, I have a song called Today I Learned, and it's basically it's like every line is like a fun fact for kids. And so I have the second album has a Today I Learned too, and each project I'm going to do each line is a fun fact for kids. But I say all that to say that one of the lines I say, then I heard a word that I never heard before. If they only eat plants, then they're a herbivore.
Oh,
Talking
that's
about
Oh, that's
dinosaurs,
cool.
cool. Yeah.
That is
talking about dinosaurs, that might be potentially the first time someone hears a word herbivore. So it might be a little high.
cool.
It might shoot higher than what they know, but I guarantee you when they go to school, they're going to be like, I know what an herbivore is,
True. That's
Exactly. Oh my gosh,
exactly.
that's awesome. Well, kind of like talking about you're making this show and you started acting. I want to
Yeah.
dip a little into your acting. So, what has been your favorite, I guess, thing to work on so far, your favorite project? And how do you bring your artistic vision to your characters?
Oh, that's a great question. I started acting probably about a decade ago, maybe a little like 8 to 10 years ago. I can't really remember, but I got asked to. There was this kind of big hip hop musical, And there's a singer I worked with named Dee Woods, and she was in a group called Danny D. Kane a while ago, and she was like a music theater, uh, you know, she went to a performing arts high school. The funny
Right.
thing, I don't even know if we had performing arts in school. That's what I was thinking of because I had never acted before then. I had acted in my music videos and obviously toured the world, so I performed. So I don't have like stage fright per se, but I was I never thought really about acting, and they needed a specific for this role. It was kind of a big play. It was like all over the news. There were some big actors and stuff in it, but it was a live hip hop musical, and I fit the bill that they needed. But they were basically like, we can teach you. We need an authentic rapper, and I'm pretty big. I'm a big guy, and I was the villain, so it was kind of scarier. And he's like, I can teach you to act way quicker than I can teach a music theater kid to authentically rap because there's some big like rapping parts to it
Right.
and performances, I guess. So I was like, D Woods hit me up, and I was like, yeah, sure. I said yeah, but then I was just gonna have my manager say no because I was like, I'm not gonna do music like a musical. That's insane to me. And then I started thinking about it, and I slept on it. And then the director called me, and he was like, to be honest, and he's done some great stuff. And I saw him in this movie with Denzel Washington, and I was like, oh man, I love that movie. And American Gangster, that was it. And he was like, man, I just watched your music videos. You should have been acting a long time ago. And like anytime you start something new, your inner critic instantly says you can't do it. It's like
Right.
anything, like it seems so scary and daunting. Your like survival mode of not embarrassing yourself or whatever trauma you have, like comes out. So you're just like, I am not trying to like at this point in my life, just do something so crazy. But, I ended up saying yeah, and I was a principal role, and he was even like, "Hey, you're getting paid as much as these other people who are like on TV shows and stuff, so don't tell them that because actors are sensitive, and I have no experience." But so I was a primary role, and then I did it like 8 hours a day for 3 weeks straight. And we
Wow.
rehearsed and learned. And I worked with the directors and then some acting coaches. And I remember on week 2, like the concept of acting clicked. And I was like, oh, it literally was like a switch. And I was like, oh, I know how to do it. I know how to act now. And so I did that play. And that was my like forte into performing. Um, and it was kind of good that it was a musical because I already know, because sometimes when you go from film or TV to theater, it's kind of difficult because there's
Yeah.
no cuts, there's no action,
Yeah.
there's no redos, and I have been touring 7 months out of the year for a decade, so I know I'm just used to everything always going wrong on stage constantly, and the show must go on. And it's just part of it. You don't even notice it for a while. Like after you just know that you just keep it rolling. And some, uh, film actors have had trouble also projecting your voice, in a theater as opposed to being on camera filming is completely different. So, when if you've ever seen a play or a musical, it's a way to project your voice loud. That's pretty much just performing what I have been doing. So it was a cool, big foot in the deep end, just kind of testing the waters on the idea of acting. And that went really well. And then I got asked to do the same play in California for this like this new works like big festival. And so that would probably be my favorite one that I've done just because it was my first one. But one I'm really excited about is I just did my first movie. I have a very, very small role, but I went out to LA and got casted um, in this movie called The Gutter that's coming out. It has like Susan Sarandon,
Oh,
Shamik
cool.
Moore, a bunch of other awesome actors. And my role, and I have one scene in my role is very small, but my friend who wrote Uncle Apple, he directed it, and my other friend, his brother, who I grew up with, wrote it. So it was my first time just being on having a trailer, being like on seeing how like being what you think like a big movie in LA would be like.
Okay.
And
That's
it
cool.
was cool. Yeah, it was just cool doing it I was just like, man, no matter what happens, I just think this is just cool that I've got to at least say I did like, a feature film.
Congratulations. We
Congratulations.
have to
Yeah.
wait. Can't wait to see it.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it comes out in theaters November 1st is what I was told.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a bowling movie, and it's like takes place in the world. It's a it's like an over the top comedy. And my friend who wrote it, Yasser, and his brother is and I mentioned before is Wright's Uncle Apple. I just grew up with them, and they're like some of the most hilarious people. So it's awesome watching them. Like, I've known them since seventh grade, so it's awesome watching them have their humor go out to the world and have like on a big stage, because they've always been hilarious, and this movie is absolutely hilarious. So it's kind of in the same world as Kingpin, and
Okay,
it's
that was a good one.
yeah, it's like yeah, it's just a hilarious over the top movie. I don't want to give away too much of it, because I want people to see it and then be shocked. But I think everyone's gonna really enjoy it. It's just like it's like just a very silly, over the top comedy, and I think that's kind of what's lacking right now, I think.
Okay.
Okay. All right. So, what is one person you would like to collaborate with the most?
Oh man. Music or acting or
I don't
both?
know, either one.
Either one, both of them.
I would love to work musically. I've worked with a majority of my heroes, which is awesome. I've been very lucky and to work with my heroes and people I grew up listening to. And that never gets old. When I meet people that I grew up listening to, like I'm a huge fan of very underground rappers and like a lot of rappers that wouldn't be mainstream or people wouldn't even know. And I still like get into like a 13-year-old kid mode when I see them. I am like but I've been very lucky to work with them. But I've never met or worked with Pharrell and the Neptunes with Chad, and I really like
That would be,
their
yeah.
band. Their band NERD was very influential to me when I was in high school, and then genre blending between hip hop, rock, and like pop, and I was very into that whole genre blending NERD-esque. I was like the rapper on Warped Tour, and I love how they did that. And I don't know if they're working together anymore, if Chad and Pharrell, I think I've read something that they're kind of on the outs together, but the Neptunes alone, or just work with their band NERD, it would be just sick. That would be awesome. And, um, film wise, I would love, I mean, this is like, I'm just going to be this cliche actor answer, but I would love to work in some capacity, one line, I'll do an extra work just in a Martin Scorsese movie. That would
Oh
Oh,
be,
yeah,
yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
that's the goal, right? That's,
That's the goal.
absolutely.
Yeah,
That's
definitely.
I'll come and be the PA. I mean, I don't mind getting
that's what
coffee for
I would do. That
people.
I'd go be the PA. I would get him coffee every day. I don't even care. Just to be involved. I mean, talk about someone that swings and never misses. I mean, man.
Absolutely. Oh yeah. That's like, yeah,
That's a perfect one. Yeah.
perfect answer there.
Yeah, I'm such a fan of pretty much every movie. I can't really think of a movie he's done that I didn't like. That last one, I forget the title. It's about the Indians in Oklahoma, the Native
Oh,
Americans.
I know the one you're talking about. I can't think of the name right now.
It was like Blood Moon Orange or Blood Moon or oh my God, man, that was insane. And I think in such a world of, and I loved The Irishman,
Oh,
but
that
in a
was the
world,
best. Yeah.
and his movies are always 3 hours long,
And you don't
so
notice it.
you don't notice it. And
Yeah.
talk about in a society right now where we don't even think in like past 140 characters and TikTok short form videos, and they've like reworked our brain to be such short form content that he is the last person to hang on to those like 3 hour, 4 hour movies and
Right.
it's beautifully done. You can tell he is like, I don't know, because after him, I don't see people really going back to that,
No,
I don't think so.
so.
I don't think so. Not the way things are now. Like you said, past 60 minutes or 60 seconds,
People are
you're just
clocked out.
people have clocked out. If you do 90, they're done.
Yeah, right. I mean, even
So
the way we do like intros to movies now. Intros to movies are just, they're not there anymore. And you could tell when a movie was made in the 90s because it has a long intro.
Yeah.
And
that's
I
true.
was watching this is so funny to my point. I think that was, that's also in tandem with streaming and how that's taken over. Um Straight to the point,
Right.
because because I know Netflix and them, they have people monitoring an algorithm, I mean computers, monitoring monitoring how long you stay on the first like 5 minutes, to
Right.
like how before you click away. That's a big part in how they make movies now for that very reason. And I was watching I think 2 Christmases ago, my little nephew was over he was back in Georgia from Hawaii with his mom and my sister, and we were watching It's a Wonderful Life, and the
That's it.
beginning of the movie, is when they roll out the songs and they show the credits, they do the actors and stuff. And my
Right.
little nephew was like, "Oh, it's over," because that's because they only do that at the end of movies now, and he's never seen the full, 2-3 minute introduction to a movie, like the montage. It sets the
Right.
scene, it
Right.
shows the
Full
actors.
experience.
Yeah, and he was just like, "Oh, it's over." And I was like, "Man," yeah. And
Oh,
he was
that's
like 4.
It is hilarious.
poor guy.
All right, we're gonna take a quick commercial break, but in the meantime, you guys will get to listen to one of Kyle's projects. So we'll
All
be
right.
right back. Welcome back to the show, everybody.
Oh, welcome back, guys.
Alrighty, so Kyle, tell
Yeah.
us about "Won't Let Myself Become You." Where'd the inspiration for this project come from?
Oh yeah, that's a song I wrote with the band Outline in Color. I've been friends with them for probably 10, 15 years. I toured Japan with them, and
Oh,
I opened up for them on their Japan tour. I've done a million shows with them, and when the singer also has DJ'd for me for a lot of shows as well, a lot of tours. So I've worked on I've pretty much, other than I think a couple albums, I've at least co-written 1 or 2 songs or written with them on songs on each album. And it was one of my passions, and I didn't ever know that I would fall into writing songs for people or with people for them. That was kind
right.
of, I fell into that, and I didn't know I would like it as much, I mean, especially artists being so egocentric in the beginning. You never think of I didn't think I would find enjoyment out of it, or I would feel any creativity from writing songs for other people. But it was yeah, we wrote on we he went through some personal stuff. I'm not going to put all of his business out there, but he went to through some personal stuff, and that's pretty much what the whole album is based on. I mean, he talks about it, so I'm sure you guys could have him on, and I'll let him tell you what he wants to tell you. But I was very close to the situation that he was going through, so I think I wrote on like 3 or 4 songs on this album. I'm not sure what this was one of the ones that came out. I'm not sure what's going to make the cut when the whole album's released, but yeah, it was. I'm very excited. I was very excited about it. I think it turned out great, and actually they just did a show in Atlanta, so it was kind of cool watching them perform that song live for the first time. That was pretty awesome.
Oh, that's pretty
That's
neat.
pretty cool. Yeah.
I mean, it is a unique experience when you can like share your gift and your talent and
With
make someone
somebody else.
else's,
Yeah.
Yeah. Dreams come true, so to speak, because
Yeah.
words, and I bet that's kind of like, awe-inspiring. You hear your words coming out of,
Somebody
else's mouth in a
Yeah.
sense.
You're
That's
just
like,
like,
Yeah.
you're like, hey, that was me.
Yeah, absolutely. And I seeing them perform it too kind of made it all come full circle, as well, I guess not full circle. Seeing Al when he was sending me music, and I would walk my dog, and I would come up with a line and then record it and text it to him, and then he comes back, and watching him perform that and deliver it and like nail it was just like, man, I was like, I don't know, I felt proud, you know?
That's
that's
awesome.
awesome. Yeah. All right, so let's get into the fun round of questions now.
I love the fun round.
All right.
All right, so what is your favorite city and why?
Oh, my favorite city. That's a good question. I like I mean, I've lived in Marietta, Georgia majority of my life. I lived in Austin and New York here and there for a couple years, and then I've just basically
Oh,
my adult life I've just been on tour and then coming home to Marietta, and then my father passed away a couple years ago, and so me and my girlfriend moved back
right.
to help everything and kind of move back from Austin, and then she's from Dallas, but I say let's say it's I really love Marietta, Georgia. I don't know, it's not like Tokyo or New York City, but I just find it. I guess the reason why it's probably my favorite city is because it's home, it's comforting,
Right,
it's
it's
like
home.
nostalgic. There's a certain way it smells when the leaves are falling in fall. I instantly go back to high school, or I instantly remember starting college, and I remember I don't know. It's like and it's a very it's 30 minutes north of Atlanta. It's a great town. I love Atlanta, and I love Georgia. And I just really, yeah. So I like home just because it's home, maybe. Because the average other person would probably be like, I don't know, it's just like a town, it's a city. But and it's a Georgia city, but for me, it just represents, growing up and as a kid, basketball, soccer, and, my parents, and it was just a great place to grow up.
Yeah, most definitely. You can go to all these different crazy places, but there's no place like home, really.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. I don't know if the audience heard that, but our little dog in the studio decided he wanted to bark, so I guess he said,
He wanted to
My
say,
little dog's sleeping right now. His name's Paulie Walnuts, and he's my favorite person in the world.
oh my gosh, Polly from The Sopranos.
Yeah, that's it.
that's awesome.
Well, yeah, Charlie decided, ours is Charlie, and he decided he wanted to say hi, Kyle, and he agreed.
What kind of dog is he?
A toy poodle.
Yeah.
Awesome. Mine's a dachshund poodle.
Oh,
So
that's
you know.
cute. The
poodle.
poodle.
Yeah.
All right. If you could instantly master any skill just for fun, what would it be?
I mean, making music would be awesome. Like the music side,
Right.
I don't make beats. I don't know how to read music. I don't know how to play music. So that would be not even for fun. That would be like very awesome. As much as I love collaborating with people, it would be cool to be more hands-on as far as like, I'm as far as producing, I'm as far in as not be playing the actual music, but I know how things should sound. I know where it should drop out. I know basically from the outside looking in, but actually being able to easily, I can figure out some parts, but being easily like second nature, like how it is when I write songs, it would be awesome to do that musically.
Right. Most definitely. That sounds
That
cool.
would be cool. I wish I could read music. I don't know.
Yeah, right. Like
Yeah.
it'd be a cool skill to have.
It really
would
would
be.
be. Just kind of sit down at a piano or even like a guitar. I used to want to learn
Yeah.
drums, but that was
Yeah.
Yeah, you
vetoed.
like hitting stuff.
It was, yeah, it was vetoed in my household when I was a kid. So They're bad.
What is the weirdest or most random thing you've ever Googled out of curiosity?
Oh man, I'm always Googling. I'm a big cinephile and I'm constantly watching movies and shows, and so I'm on IMDb and constantly Googling stuff about what that person was, that person, and so I guess that's the most. Uh, Oh, I know. Recently, the most random thing was a couple months ago. I didn't I have a pool at my house and I decided to open the pool by myself without hiring a company. So that
Oh,
was like a 3 week Google, YouTube, college almost in figuring out how to open a pool. And it's like an in-ground older pool. Um, and I never, coming back and kind of taking over the house that I grew up in and learning how to do all the stuff that I never ever did. And that was a big challenge opening up a pool,
right.
take the cover off and the water is completely lime green and then figuring
Oh,
out how
Ew.
to, chemicals, there's chemistry involved. There's so much stuff there's, dealing with the pressure of the pool pump. Like, if that goes wrong, that's like a $10,000 explosion,
Oh
that's
oh
like
wow.
my
high powered.
gosh.
Yeah, it's like so it was pretty intense. So that's of recent memory. That's the thing that I Googled that I had zero knowledge, and that's what took me down to being now pretty knowledgeable.
That's
That's
now, see, that's awesome.
yeah.
Next season, you can okay, I don't need anybody to help me. I got this. Thanks to Google.
Absolutely,
Thanks to Google.
absolutely.
If you could travel back in time and meet anyone, who would it be?
Ooh. Um. Oh, I don't know. I would want to travel back and meet go to the beginning of time or to the beginning of humanity, maybe.
Right.
Maybe like when we were Neanderthals or but like of modern civilization, the first round. I know that they say we've restarted like 4 or 5 times. I
Yeah,
would love to go back and because I also have theories on how when people take it could be religion or it could be whatever, but I feel like when people 100% say something black and white and it was 4,000 years ago, I'm just like, that's not true. Like, there's no way that,
Right.
I can't tell one friend something. By the time it gets to the fourth one, it's completely different. I was like, there's no way.
Exactly. There's
And
no
exactly.
so
way.
I kind of I would want to go and kind of I would want to double check and proof a handful of things throughout time and being like, I knew this is why it would, like I just don't
Yeah.
feel,
Exactly.
and so I would feel like I would want to just to see it firsthand to get my firsthand evidence and being like, yeah, I knew that wasn't right.
That's
That's
awesome.
awesome.
That's
Yeah.
a great answer.
If you could have any superpower, what would it be?
I would love to fly. Yeah, I have
That'd
like
be fun.
reoccurring
Yeah.
dreams of flying. I have like constant reoccurring dreams of flying. I would love to do that. That would be awesome.
That would be. Like, so what is the most bizarre thing that you've ever done on a dare?
Oh, done on a dare. Um, I can't think of anything. I'm not really a daring person.
Right.
I'm not really influenced by people that easily. Like I'm the king of saying no. I'm not doing
That's fair. That's
That's fair.
fair.
yeah, so peer pressure has never and does not work on me. For whatever reason, I'm very independent when it's like I'm not doing that. But I'll watch you jump off a rock or whatever. I'll
Yeah.
I'll watch, but I'm
Watch.
not.
Yeah.
I've never been the one to being like, all right, since you dared me, I got to jump off a bridge.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, yeah, I agree. I think I would be the one to watch. Be like, no,
Yeah.
I'm not
Most
gonna do
definitely.
that. But why don't you
I have
try
a
You
it?
bunch of
do it.
crazy friends growing up in high school. They would always do crazy things, and I just I don't know. My logic kind of always outweighs the quote unquote peer pressure.
Right.
That makes sense.
That-
That makes sense.
You only take 5 things to a desert island. What would they be?
Oh, that's really good. A solar power generator, uh, fishing supplies, um, a TV, a DVD player. That's 4, and the full complete series of The Sopranos.
Awesome.
Yeah, you're gonna have a
That's
fun
all
time.
I
You're
need.
gonna
I
have a
can I
fun
can pretty
time.
much do everything else after that. I can
Yeah.
figure it out.
You figure it out.
Now, The Sopranos, I do have to interject, is the best TV show ever. I'm sorry.
Hands down.
Like,
Absolutely.
hands
Hands
down.
down.
Right. If you could swap lives with any cartoon character for the day, who would it be?
Huh. That's really good. Um, I'd want to be Roger from American Dad.
Oh,
Okay.
that's
Yeah,
awesome.
That'd
the
be fun.
alien. The alien, because he's
Yeah,
also like a million different characters, and he has a million different personas.
Yeah.
yeah.
He seems to be magic. You know, he's an alien. He seems to be able to do things that whatever that world is. If that world is based in like reality, where like gravity and that everyone else is like normal, and he's just somehow has superpowers
Right.
esque
Right.
magic involved in a normal world, and he's pretty funny. He's like very witty and yeah, he's pretty funny. So yeah, Roger from American Dad.
Yeah, I can
That's
get
a
behind
good
that.
one. I
That's a
can
good one.
totally get behind that
Yeah.
one. Yeah.
Right. So if you were a character in a sitcom, what would your catchphrase be?
Oh man, that's really good. Character in a sitcom, what would it be? Oh, I always say two things can be true. I always say that. I
All
find
right.
myself saying that
That's true.
constantly, and it always kind of like takes people who are, if it's politics, religion, or whatever, and I'm always in this world of right, left, black, white, cut and dry. I'm always like, two things can be true, and then they're like, oh yeah, it always kind of like people forget that, and I think
Right.
I constantly find myself telling that to people who can't see like there's nuance and stuff.
That's
That's
true.
true.
Two things definitely can be true. So yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't mean one's less or one's other. It's just like, hey, this, life is nuanced, so it's not just one or the other. Like there are certain things that this is, or then there's also this.
Exactly.
Exactly.
So maybe it wouldn't be a sitcom. It'd have to be a more like drama show.
Okay, that's fair.
We
Right.
could do drama.
If you, yeah. All right. So if you could only communicate using movie or TV show quotes for the whole day, what would it be? Like what movie?
Oh, super bad. I would be able to do super bad. I think I do that. I think I do that.
That's awesome.
I haven't seen that movie in a while. So yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, that was a good
Okay.
one.
It's probably the last of the over the top perfect comedies that I don't think that movie would be allowed to be made now.
It would
But
not be.
Oh no.
but it was just, I think that was just perfection as far as comedy. I like that they had kids that weren't like, they were in high school and they weren't like 30-year-old Abercrombie models pretending to be kids, like some of the shows and
Right.
that are high schoolers. And I like, they talked like me and my friends. They didn't care about, they were like the anxiety of moving on from high school without Seth Rogen and Evan Goldberg, who wrote that, I know they started it when they were 13. They nailed like an exact feeling from moving from high school, and what it's like in high school. Everything seems so important, and it was hilarious on top of, the anxiety of you're still a kid, but you're now an adult kind of.
Right.
So that's a very hard position to be in as a youth. Like it's a very confusing, that's a word, confusing
That's
position.
true.
True.
And then moving on for something that you were in this like microcosm of high school for 4 years, and then now it's gone, which is, pretty terrifying. It can be, and exciting and all. And I think they nailed that movie on top of like absolutely over the top, hilarious lines.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
It was a yeah, that's true. I
That's
didn't
true.
even think about it like that.
Yeah, that's a good one.
That's a great like analysis of it.
I have a minor in film, and I wrote, and when I was in college when that movie came out, and, everyone was, a lot of people who are in film are like extremely pretentious. And so it's, unless it's like in black and white or subtitles, it's not like worthy of being
Right.
like talked about, or like, it's very like, it's like considered like mall art, where it's not like, they're very pretentious. And so I just remember writing a paper, and I made all my points so well, but then the teacher was like, I have to give you a B plus just because you picked Superbad. And I was like, well, that's my point.
Oh, there you go.
There you go.
You are proving my point.
That's awesome.
You have one person to give a shout out to. Who is it? Why'd you pick them?
Um, I'll shout out my girlfriend, Sunny Sultana, her real name's Sonja. But yeah, we've been together for 5 or 7 years now, and I don't know, we've just experienced life uh together and been through everything together, and I don't know, she's like my best friend. So I've gotten me through some hard parts. So it's been yeah, so I would shout out her. Yeah, she's awesome.
Oh, that
That's
sounds awesome.
Yeah. Right. So, what is the one piece of advice that you would give to people who want to be in the music industry?
Oh, that's good too. And people ask me that a lot. I would two pieces of advice. I would say I don't want to, I just want to be like realistic, like pragmatically realistic and not like sugarcoat things like chase your dreams,
Right.
anything's possible. That is true. And that is true. And you're going to have to, these have to be dreams in the first, and that's kind of stating the obvious, right?
Right.
But I would figure out a way to financially be okay that has nothing to do with music. So
Right.
first, I would do that first. I mean, I don't know what it is. Start a business. Someone asked me, I want to go to school for music business. And I said, no, go to school for business. And it's not like you go to school for music business and you get out and they're like, hey, it's like a coupon your degree and being like, now you can run a record
Right.
label. Like you're competing with people who don't even have high school degrees that are
Right.
so successful. So like I would say pursue it because you love it, because my mind got blurred so many times where since it was my job, of course we all love it to a point, but then you find yourselves doing stuff you don't want to do, but the money's right, and then you find yourself, and then that forced, I mean, then I went to kind of falling out of love with music, and
Mhm.
like uh it will test your bounds how much you actually love the art, when there's a check behind it. And it's just,
Right.
that's just a reality of it. So I would figure out a way, start a business, if you have, get into family bit. I don't know, whatever it is you can do where you can pursue music, because when it comes time to being your full-time job, hopefully, hopefully you would still love it. As I don't know, my everyone's situation's differently, but older looking back, I would
Mhm.
say figure out a way to be financially sound outside of it involving the art, because the art will definitely suffer and you're only going to keep getting older, and then if it becomes day to day, you really do view it as a job and it becomes like annoying and like, oh,
Right.
I got to do this today. You don't look at it as like a privilege anymore.
That's
That's
true.
true.
That's
That's
a
true. I like
100%
that. Yeah.
true.
In addition to all that you have going on, what's next for you?
Um, I think I'm just really focused on Uncle Apple, on getting it off the ground.
Right.
I'm almost done with the full length album, and I want that to be released, and then really I want to really dive into the TV show. So we're figuring all that out right now, and we're kind of in the trenches of the of work mode of making that an actual reality. Because when we were with Nickelodeon, I was really excited about that, and then I thought, things always false starts, false, start and stop. And
Right.
especially, oh, that's another one too, to go back in the music industry, you got to get used to things taking way longer than they seem. And then don't let, the discouragement of the first time throw you off, because it's just kind of part of it. I mean, people partner all the time. This doesn't work. Doesn't mean the idea or the IP, or that if you still own it, you can take that and move on to somewhere else. And you constantly hear about successful projects like, oh, this is the fourth company, I've
Right.
done
Right.
this,
True.
I the fourth time. And especially in film and TV, if you own the IP, you can. A lot of my favorite shows that came out were first on YouTube TV, and then that didn't
Right.
work out. Okay, then they went and they licensed it to Netflix, and now it gave it a different audience. And I just feel like you got to be used to the pitfalls and the start and stop of it, but that doesn't mean that it's a bad idea. And so yeah, so that I guess it would just be Uncle Apple is kind of my main focus right now. That's just how it is. The music, finishing the music, but I'm constantly making the music, and then also, you know, we rewrote the pilot to make it fit this, not the Nickelodeon one. We rewrote it, and then we're casting right now and getting the animation house ready, and I'm just excited to dive into making it an actual show.
That's going to
That's
be
gonna be
awesome
awesome.
to see. I can't wait.
Thank you.
What is the one thing that you want our audience to know about you?
Um, Let me think. Um, yeah, maybe that I'm not just a rapper. That kind of has like a false negative stigma to it. Like
Right.
yeah, it kind of it doesn't it has like a negative connotation if I say that. I mean, for so long I had to even say, oh, I'm just in music, and then I just kind of wait for them to. I just can't. I'm more than just the one thing I started out doing, So I'm an all around artist, in all kinds of genres, and now I guess diving into the cartoon TV world. So yeah, I'm not just like one thing. That'd be a cool thing for people to know.
Okay.
It's pretty cool.
Alrighty. So last question: where can people find you on social media?
Just at Kyle Lucas on everything. I think that's it. At Kyle Lucas, and Uncle Apple's at Uncle Apple Raps. And yeah, that's it. At Kyle Lucas.
Alrighty, Kyle. Thank you so much for joining us today.
We really
Absolutely.
we really enjoyed it. Thanks again.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, so did I. Thank you guys. I really appreciate it.
Did you guys enjoy the show? I know we did. Thanks to Kyle for joining us today. Make sure to check out his music and social media. And yeah, thanks for hanging in with us this season. See you soon for season 7. Peace out.